was here in New York, I thought it best to tell you myself. Also, there's this. The Vatican sent it for you. It's from the Cardinal, addressed to your good self.
He hands Heschel the package. Heschel holds the package, fondles it reverently.
How was it with his work?
There were good days and bad days, to be sure. There are still those who question his priorities, but he made a lot of progress. You must know this was very important to him. I believe the Jewish people meant as much to him as life itself.
But you're not so sympathetic to the Second Vatican Council?
Rabbi, I ask you, how can 1,000 years of Latin Mass and Holy Mother Church be turned around because a few men wanted to be different? It's not right.
Bayle was one of those men, of course.
He was a great man, Dr. Heschel. I admired him very much, but I think he was building his grand vision on the wrong foundation.
A compliment wrapped in a fist.
Bayle died of a broken heart. He was cut off as if the world was flat, and he was pushed so far off it, he could no longer breathe.
Yet he is honored.
Nothing so became him as his death. They tossed him aside, Rabbi Heschel. You did too.
No, Brian. In my heart of hearts, I thought we'd have time. How do you fare in the Vatican with such ideas, Brian?
I'm leaving the clergy, Rabbi. I believe I'm more of a soldier than a priest. We Irish fight for our freedom, Rabbi, as do others, like your own Jewish Defense League, and the Black Panthers, or the Algerians in France.
What you hate is hateful, of course.
Identity can be a terrifying force. In my own humble view, I don't see how Jews are more special than my people in Southie or in Belfast. For us, too, there's been no change for hundreds of years.
I tell you, Brian, if only the world would stop blaming us, we would feel much less special. So we both carry great anger in us. Did you notice how every human face is different? People can blow up other people with bombs, I think, because they don't see their faces.
My father loved people's faces. He'd have me look out of the window when we rode a bus. Look, he said, do you see? No one face looks like the other. They're all, every one of them, different. He was illuminated by that idea. Look, he'd say. It is truly an amazing thing, Brian, truly it is.
Your father was right.
We get seduced by a face, Rabbi. We trust, and we are deceived.
So no more tooth fairy, no more Mr. Santa Claus for you, Brian. I understand. Bea dies. Now you want me to persuade you God's morality brings us to heaven on earth despite history as you know it. Or QED, God has abandoned you.
I'm quite certain that his morality is forever relevant and it is entirely practical. Only then. My time in Rome has proven that to me.
Brian, my dear Brian, you dream of defeating the bullies and the hate-mongers, but you have no faith in it. Of course, there are no guarantees, but there is work to do. You are right about that. Find your faith, Brian. It's there. It was and it is. Find your faith and do the work it calls you to do. There was a great rabbi. His name was Hillel, and he was asked to summarize all God's commandments while his questioner stood on one leg. And he answered, love thy neighbor as thyself. All the rest is commentary. Brian, please try to see your own face in the face of your enemy.
It will take a miracle for that, Rabbi.
Then I pray for that miracle. I pray for you to recognize that to kill your enemy is suicide.
Sure. Now, Rabbi, I should be off with myself. I'm truly very sorry for our loss.
For you for this and for coming to me personally.
He unwraps the package. It is a book and an envelope. He removes the letter from the envelope. He looks at it and then hands it to Martin.
Would you read it for me? You know his hand better than I.
Shalom, Abba. From one who has no more time on earth, to my dear friend, the one who still might come in time.
We argued. I was furious. You know, you were there. You know.
I do indeed. Will you accept the invitation to
I don't think I can return to Rome. What would I say? That I forgot love? That I paid too little attention to the pain I knew we saw in each other? Sadly, my Jewish nerves were on edge. You know, we never spoke after I left Rome.
I believe I can promise there will be no quarrels on this occasion.
Brian, before you go, maybe we could remember Bea here together. You know, in all my friendships with Christians, with Bea, Niebuhr, with the Berrigans, I have never prayed with one of them. For Bea, now, here, shall we? It's okay.
Martin nods yes and kneels. Heschel moves to kneel beside Martin and then changes his mind.
No, I will stand.
He bows his head and recites the Kaddish. Act 2, Scene 6. Heschel is speaking to his class.
I want to talk about the binding of Isaac this morning, the Acadia story. I was a boy when I first studied this story. I was terrified. Suddenly, an angel arrived and tells Abraham to put his hand and put up his knife. I burst into tears. My Rebbe asked, "The angel came, didn't you hear?" Still crying, I asked, "But what if the angel had come too late?" Trying to reassure me, the Rebbe said, "Angels always come in time. It is only man, my boy, who may come too late." Only man may come too late. I still cry for Isaac. You know why? Because since Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Isaac is still bound, and man continues to come too late. This is the question we will pursue in the coming weeks. We will study and argue with a patient urgency, knowing that we must work hard not to come too late. We may not simply throw pennies in a fountain and wait.
End of play.
Dr. Joel Mann, Dr. Elliot Elfner, Father Jack McCarthy, and Catherine Caskin. So thank you all very much for that, and especially I was really impressed by Joel Mann's accent. I thought that was terrific. We are going to do a little transition here, and in the next couple of minutes we're going to give you an opportunity to stand up and stretch. There are restrooms on this same floor level, directly back through those doors. Women's this way and men's that way. And also during this